with the Undying. Feels
Yeah.
like most of the time it's just been losing over and over again, but it just seems like nobody wants to have to play against it.
It is rather annoying. Again, it has that strong laning presence. It's kind of hard to deal with early on, at the very least. It can make laning just hellish. So, to simplify matters, banning it out is kind of sensible. Just make things easier for yourself, even though it is something that you can manage as the game goes on. And we are going to find out what else Signal is
10
going to throw
seconds
out
remaining.
to combine with that Void. Sand King Void is
Dire
already
team
kind of
pick.
potent. You can maximize it. There you go. The ET is really good with the Void, of course. You have so many ways of helping out in that chrono. Just really great support or off lane if you really want to do that. You
Yeah.
have that flexibility with the Sand King and ET, and it's just strong to have. It does do a lot of work for your team when you get that
Radiant
positioning
team
right.
picked.
Well, the Oracle pickup is going to be the pick for Geek Fam. So I wonder what they're really going to pair with that, because generally speaking, when you pick an Oracle, generally have a game plan as to what's coming after that. I mean, overall, it is still a powerful support to have on your side of things anyway. But it's not something we see so often anymore.
10
You
seconds
have a couple of
remaining.
good combinations coming out with Oracle. You could
5
possibly see the
seconds
PA, although
remaining.
up against the Void, that could be a bit wonky. But you do have the Oracle could just disarm the Void while he's in Chrono, so you have that going for you. PA is one of the heroes we see a lot of with that Oracle. Otherwise, off the top of my head, I think the Troll Warlord is one of the heroes that really enjoys the Oracle. Those are really the two big ones. Juggernaut as well. We do see Jug Oracle come out every now and again, but that has been much less common. Jug in general just has been much less common nowadays. I think we've only seen it once today, if I recall right. Pretty recently as well. So those are the options you have straightforwardly with the Oracle. I'm not sure if you're really going to be looking for anything to maximize over it because Oracle, just having him is pretty good already. He's going to be useful for any hero. Signal does take the Rubik themselves, so it's going to be interesting seeing them run that hero. There are a lot of good spells to steal. Grimstrokes, spell list is pretty strong. Tinies, oracles, all of those spells that they have are quite effective when you turn it against them. So I like this pickup from Signal. I think it's going to be used to great effect. You
10
consider
seconds
that you have the
remaining.
Void as well. You can take some of the spells Geek Fam has, use it against them in that
5
Chronosphere. It's
seconds
going to be massive.
remaining.
Well, Geek Fam, fourth pick for them. They might finally reveal where they're going with this draft. I mean, it's been very
Radiant
hidden as to what they're up to here, although, of course, they will go for the Night Stalker, and surprisingly enough, this hero was still available throughout all this. I didn't even realize, I just assumed it would be banned. But there it is. Seems like a pretty nice game for it as well, considering so many of these heroes require those spells, or they really rely on them. That Silence really going to be paying dividends here for this Night Stalker. Ultra, they do get rid of the Bristleback, which, I mean, in conjunction with the Night Stalker would have been pretty disgusting to have to play against. So fair enough for them for getting rid of that. Geek Fam.
10 seconds remaining.
Should be interesting as well. Picking that Night Stalker does
5
tell us that the Tiny is more than likely going to be a core, and of course it's going to be down mid now, with Night Stalker taking the offlane role, unless both of these heroes do take the side lanes each, which we just saw TNC do. They ran the Night Stalker in a safe lane role. You could opt to do that here as well with Geek Fam, running both of these on the side lanes and getting your mid pick here. We'll see exactly what they want to do, because we have seen the mid Tiny as well.
Geek Fam. Diving into that reserve time for this final ban out. Before they finish off this draft, and I wonder what they will just choose as their pos 1. I suppose you could just go for, like, again, you could go for a Slark, Jug, standard stuff. Seems like you would want some kind of route just to hold that Void in. They'll ban the OD out. Geek Fam.
Team pick.
We'll actually go for the Wraith King, which I suppose that's one pick to make, although Cignal Ultra go for a Phoenix. That's a hero we don't see very often these days, and they picked it quite quickly, John. It seems like they're very confident with this Phoenix. I'd love to see it. The Wraith King pick as well, though, does seem quite clever. I mean, you're up against the Faceless Void, so he takes you out once, but then he's going to take you out a second time. Suddenly that chrono was essentially just, assumedly wasted.
Yeah, it's pretty good against that Void. I'd say Nando might consider getting the Diffusal to at least counteract that effect early on, but then you still have to worry about the Oracle being outside, saving his Raid King anyway. I like Cignal's last pick, Phoenix. It really ties in together with the Void. It looks like they are really banking off the back of big team fights with the big ultimates they have, off the back of that big Chronosphere. So they're going to be playing around with that, and you have a lot of spells that can follow up. They do have to apply that pressure with the team fight. They have to play around with their cooldowns quite well. Geek fam, they're just needing to get that farm going on the Raid King. We'll see how he itemizes. We do tend to see Midas Radiance Raid Kings a lot. I'm not sure how exactly Geek fam would want to run that. I'm not sure how Raven would want to run that. But that is the most common thing we have seen based on our games before. We'll see if it does shake up here. See something more aggressive with maybe an early Blink, early Armlet coming out. Those are the older options, of course, for a more aggressive playstyle. And I'm not sure if you really can afford to take the time farming, because once Cignal hits 6, these guys are not going to relent.
We'll see how it all pans out. I just love seeing the Phoenix being picked up, being played by Eris here. It's in conjunction with that Chrono. It's just so powerful. The Chrono into the egg. See how they run it. Eris is making his way
Prepare for battle.
up to the top lane, but I believe Van should be playing that position 3 role again, right? So you're looking at a pos 4 Phoenix here. Well, no, it shouldn't even be a pos 4, because Jamesy is on the support. Is he? The shared tango's on the Rubik. Jamesy's playing the mid Rubik.
Yeah. It's going to be the mid Rubik. It's what you always like to see, Mike. Core Rubik coming out here. Should be an interesting time to watch this one lane up against mid later on Geek Fam, which should be the Tiny.
Nando. Gonna run into Zephyr right now, though. This is probably not the target you want to run into, because he will have Inkswell very, very soon. Nando, Fortune's End will connect, although nice time walk before it reaches. That will create enough distance so he doesn't actually get trapped up and die. The rest of Geek Fam will just walk out of there. Why the core Rubik, though, I wonder?
It's really down to the fact that I suppose you don't have anything else that could go down mid quite nicely. I mean, Phoenix could, but I think you really value his laning presence so much more that it's too useful to have to deny that farm up top. So it's much better off in that off lane up top. You have a lot more space to run around with.
I suppose in conjunction with the Arcane Supremacy and the ET Aura as well, it's quite potent, although Van, top lane, will end up going down. Dubu picks up the first blood for the side of Geek Fam. So Geek Fam, a rather nice start for them as they did find the Sand King up top. He'll TP straight back up. Also, it will just be some nice gold going over to the way of the Oracle, who probably desperately needs it as the support. So they'll get into it. Van, unfortunately, also went level 1 Burrow Strike, so he can't really Sandstorm up right now, which means this first wave is pretty much forfeit to Raven on the Wraith King.
Yeah, it's going to be a rough time for Van here. He is ready with his own Sentry Ward, so the Sentry Wars are going to kick off at some point. We do still have the Sentry and Zephyr as well. Eris is trying to get that creep wave staying behind. He is going to cop a lot of damage for his efforts.
Eris back down to the shrine himself. Raven just going to comfortably farm up here at the top lane. Move over to the bot lane as well. Cuckoo and Dubu, they'll be up against Grims and Nando on the Void. Grims having a rather difficult time here with Dubu and Cuckoo, as they are providing a lot of harassment towards that Elder Titan. Nando is going to try and help out as Raven with the voice chat. This is a rather difficult lane, right? Because you've got so much harassment. You've got a Night Stalker that just never seems to go down in HP, thanks to that base HP region that he has.
Yeah, it's going to be a rough time. Your support partner in that Elder Titan as well wants a bit of that lane EXP, get his level 2, possibly the level 3 quite fast, to be more effective in the lane, and as a Void, you just can't afford to give that much XP away. You want your fast 6 as well.
Oh, Eris top lane in a lot of trouble again though, Zephyr. Didn't have the Stroke of Fate available at the time, so he couldn't go for it past the tier 1 tower. Still though, this Phoenix not working out so much quite yet. Still sitting at level 1, and the Fire Spirits at level 1 aren't so effective. And now Zephyr, with the Ink Swirl and the stun coming in from the Wraith King, barely connects. And Van, Stroke of Fate connects, and Van will end up eventually just dropping. So Raven will pick up the first kill of the game for himself. And I just don't see how you contest this lane with the Wraith King Grimstroke. It's going to be pretty rough.
It is going to be rough no matter what. The one major thing from this dual lane as well is that you're not getting as much EXP as you'd want on the Phoenix because he has been zoned out quite a fair bit. And Eris also wants a fast 6. In fact, that's the major issue for Cignal. Very EXP greedy from all their heroes.
Jamesy getting tossed back into the tower mid lane. Will take... Oh, actually loses the courier as well as Jamesy. Fortunately was focusing on surviving rather than microing the courier, and now Ryoya gonna try again. Though the toss is gonna be a bit too far for now, and yeah, Ryoya, he'll just go for the toss up. Jamesy will lose quite a lot of HP. In fact, Ryoya may not be done. He has Avalanche available. He may just go for the combination with the tree toss. No, he'll leave it be. He won't risk losing that mana. Does put Jamesy in a quite an awkward predicament. He doesn't have any regen left on this Rubik.
Yeah, it's a rough spot to be in. His courier dying is really a huge loss this early on. That's going to be a full minute and a half where he's just not going to have the regen to match up. And he was doing a fairly decent job against the Tiny trading hits like that. Now he's just going to have to cop this rough lane, and it's going to be a while until he gets some relief.
Van, meanwhile, top lane, has recovered somewhat. 18 last hits on the Sand King, so seeming like he's doing okay now. Got a Sentry Ward down already as well, so it looks like they've de-warded any Sentry that was placed by the Grimstroke. It's actually some pretty good comeback here on the Sand King, though. The thing is, again, you look back at Eris and this Phoenix, he's really being sacrificial here. Still level 2, he's got absolutely nothing going. I'm not sure if he even goes back up to the top lane, but as a Phoenix, I mean, you depend on levels so much.
Yeah, he's not going to have as much of an impact as you'd expect. Fortunately, I think he's going to have to be prioritized for those tomes as you hit the 10-minute mark, so he's definitely going to have one of those 2 tomes, and that might help him out just a bit more, although, banned.
Yeah, he's in trouble. Inswell will come in from Zephyr. He doesn't have Burrow Strike available. Raven, though, still 5 seconds away from another stun, so they won't really find the kill. They will at least force out the salve usage. Eris, though, was already there to grab the bounty and should be able to grab the other with the Icarus dive. The Raven thought about going for the chase, but it would just be a waste of time. So leave Eris be. But that was a very nice play from Cignal. In fact, I believe they got all 4 of those bounty runes.
Yeah, that's a nice little grab for them. Gives them a lot more gold to play with. And, you know, we've held out long enough that Jamesy does get the career usage out, so ferries himself a nice amount of regen and gets his 3 nulls up in order.
That's certainly going to help the cause. Especially considering the Tiny has basically left the lane, but will return after using the Shrine. Looks like they are going to try and go for some kind of gank attempt here with Dubu. Jamesy's a lot tankier with those Null Talismans, though. Toss back into the tower with the Fortune's End as well, and that's going to be a lot of tower damage on Jamesy. He's still going to make a run for it, though. Though the Elder Titan is around as well. Grim's going to try and help out, and he does put the Tiny to sleep. And with that, the Rubik should be able to get away, though. Ryoya is looking for a toss target. Won't toss Grims quite yet, and rather he may just go for him instead. Tosses Grims back, and they'll suffice for this kind of Elder Titan kill, although Grims is also healing up now, but the Avalanche and Purifying Flames will be enough from Dubu to really just finish the job off. But he does protect his core Rubik, so I think he's going to be okay with that.
Definitely a decent enough trade for Cignal there. They do manage to waste a lot of time from Ryoya as well. He's not farming up. He wastes all his mana there. And fortunately enough, he does get the rune on their side with the ward. So he manages to secure himself that regen that he needs, and it's a double damage rune as well, so he can pump out that damage in case the Rubik does overstep.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
So big props to Van once again, John. He really started to catch up. Look at his net worth, second right now on the board. Only second to his own Void, so Cignal Ultra actually finding quite a lot as they do find Jamesy as well. The mid lane for the side of Geek fam, so they do finally find this pesky Rubik.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Looks like Ryoya now gonna rotate around. Perhaps try to find even more kills down at the bot lane where this Void is finding way too much. Yeah, that's exactly where they're headed. Go after Nando. So it looks like they were spotted by those Radiant creeps anyway, and Grims, he'll immediately move forward, though. Here comes Cuckoo. They're going to go in after this Elder Titan, though. Nando is there as well. He has the Chrono available. Nando surrounded, but gets a 3-man Chrono up. And with that, the Oracle is going to be the first target, and he does get the Lucky Bash at the end, though. Cuckoo wants to punish with Ryoya. They get the Avalanche into the toss as well. Nando now been silenced up as well. Can they just take him down? Not quite. Nando will actually get away with his life intact. And Geek fam, they will have to back out.
Yeah, that was a really good first Chrono coming out from Nando, and that does set him up quite nicely. He is working towards his Midas at a decent enough pace. Once he has that, of course, he can just farm to his heart's content, but he can still join these fights. All he's waiting for are more levels on his supports. We already saw Grims using his skill set to great effect, denying the area of the chase for Geek fam. And that just gives them enough to really get going here. They may be behind 1 to 4 in terms of kills, but they have a slight net worth advantage now.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
Zephyr, some nice neutral creep kills being stolen away from Van on the Sand King. I mean, Van is now at the top of the net worth board. Has the full veil up, going straight into the blink next. It's just super impressive considering the terrible start he did have.
Definitely so. It feels like Geek fam did relent on the pressure up here top, and that is going to be a massive issue. You cannot underestimate the damage output that a Sand King can pump out. He doesn't have Epicenter just yet, so they're not going to be looking for those early combos. But again, he's just working this lane quite well, applying the harass. Raven's farm has been pretty affected by this.
Nando is just farming pretty as well. Makes matters worse for Raven right now on the Wraith King. See Van again just abusing that Sandstorm. Eris is there in case he needs the help, but Raven can't really go into this like this. In fact, the Sandstorm does so much damage as he just walks through, although they will dust up, but the Burrow Strike is there just in the nick of time. Fortune's End will come in, but he's already underneath that T1 tower. That's a 4-hero rotation for the attempt at that Sand King, and it will not work out. Meanwhile, Nando going after Cuckoo on this Night Stalker. He does end up finding the Chrono as well. Grims is there to help out with the right clicks, and it looks like Cuckoo, well, he should go down. They almost back off too early, although here comes Ryoya. Can they find the kill on Nando? Not quite. Nice toss, although they missed the stomp for that. Ryoya still making a run for it. Spirit is there to keep vision. Nando should eventually find this. In fact, James is the one to pick it up on the core Rubik. Cignal Ultra looking very, very confident going into this game number 1, and super impressive, honestly, John.
They definitely are showing their chops here, just maximizing that Chronosphere every single time. We talked about that earlier on. You want to be able to get that Chrono when it's off cooldown. Nando has been maximizing it. Jamesy's been really active in the map, just doing a lot of work. We are starting to see the levels come together as well. You do have 6 up on Eris, and that is the Supernova up and available. So the next time the Chronosphere is up, I wouldn't be surprised if Cignal forced bigger fights now.
Dire are scanning. Dire's top tower is under attack.
Van looks like he'll start pressuring that top T1 tower with this Sage Creep, just taking a lot of those T1 hits. While Nando getting very close to that Midas. Toss into Dubu as well, just stolen by Jamesy. Dubu, he's going to be alright as Ryoya does move in. Meanwhile, Eris ends up finding Zephyr up at the top lane. So Van and Eris, in conjunction with this Veil of Van, I suppose that's something we didn't really talk about, but With this Veil, you get that double value with the Phoenix. It's actually such a disgusting lane, and you can see Raven, he's just completely left. He's just sufficing in the jungle. Got his Midas up at the very least, and going to go for a Radiance, but it's certainly not going to be the timing he would have asked for, would have liked to have.
Definitely not. This is a bit worrying. We have seen Raid Kings go this route before. It's the same story as a Lifestealer, really. If you get that Radiance around past 20 minutes, it does become a bit rough. It feels like you miss out on a massive power spike. You can still make it work, but you really, really want to hit that timing to make it easier on yourself.
Now the Blink is going to be available on that Sanking, and he goes straight down bot. Looking to make a play once again on Cuckoo on that Night Stalker, and he's just completely alone. Should be a very easy pickup as the Burrow Strike comes in. Nando's there with a follow-up, and they have Chrono if they wanted to commit it, but they do not. They don't need to. They'll go straight after the T1 tower. And I've got to admit, I wasn't expecting this kind of performance before this game started, but I mean, Geek fam, they've got a lot of catching up to do with this. You look at Ryoya on the Tiny as well, he is quite far away from buying that Blink Dagger. Whereas you look at that core Jamesy Rubik, I believe he may have it on the way. Like, no, he's going for the Aether Lens, but nevertheless, it's just, it feels like he needs that Blink to really set up for his team and really counter-initiate right now, but it's just taking longer than Ryoya would like as well.
It's the issue with Geek Fam's draft. They have really strong tanky heroes, great in lane, but once you give EXP to Cignal, again, those level 6s just make the difference here.
Bot lane, they found another Van with the Epicenter Burrow. And Jamesy's just there tossing people about. They're making it look like child's play right now. It's just Cignal finding absolutely everything of this map. They'll go after that T1, they'll get the job done and finish it off. Jamesy tries to secure it with the toss, but not quite there. Now Geek fam, just on the defense, waiting for Raven to do what Raven does best, and that is farm.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
Oh,
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Grims.
Yeah, they found Grims on the Auto Titan, and just, well, it'll be a nice pickup for the side of Geek fam, one they desperately needed. Dubu will be the one to pick up the kill. I'm sure they would have probably preferred to give that to Raven, but at this stage, it just seems like you take any kill you can get. You're 3k net worth behind at the 15-minute mark. And I suppose this also helps them secure those bot banner runes.
It definitely does. Again, right now the name of the game is to buy time for their Raid King to get that Radiance up. At the same time as well, you want a bit more onto Cuckoo. He's working onto his Ags. Once those two items are up, you probably feel a bit more confident. The Blink is just about up on Ryoya, although if he dies here, it's going to be slowed down.
Yeah, the Sandstorm taking him down with the Veil, though. They go in with the Avalanche, and now Cuckoo trying to set up, but a nice sleep from Grims. Just stops them in their tracks, though. Nice Soulbind coming out from Zephyr. Double silence, though. No, the Phoenix Egg does come out in the nick of time, and Cuckoo needs to back off. False Promise will be there. My goodness, nobody dies. Some ultimates being popped out.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Just seems like Geek fam
Dire's middle tower is under
playing on the edge right now with Cignal. You look at top lane, Nando's pushing in that tier 2 top tower as well. Ryoya, gotta be so careful in that mid lane as Jamesy does have help around him if he wants to try and go for a tiny kill.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Zephyr gonna go after Nando. The Burrow Strike is there, and well, he kind of jumped into 3 there, Van. Though he is still very, very tanky, and Cuckoo may turn this one around. Though he gets lifted up. Chrono, is it there? It's available, but he's not going to quite use it, but rather just go after Zephyr on the Grim Stroke. Grims will be there as well. Meanwhile, in the mid lane still, they still are going. An Avalanche is there from Jamesy. Van will end up going down. Nando, Chrono, he'll throw it out, but he only finds a tiny, but he ignores the Chrono and goes after Cuckoo instead. Meanwhile, the Phoenix just throwing out every spell he can. The sleep is there once again from the Auto Titan. It ends up being a 1-for-1 trade, but they end up finding the Sand King for the Grimstroke, and that Chrono, I mean, it was an okay Chrono, but he seemed to really want Cuckoo instead of the Tiny.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for Cignal. They did expend a very big ultimate there and not really finding too much for it. Geek fam couldn't be happy with that trade overall. Still, though, they have a lot of holes to plug in. Raven is inching closer towards that Radiance, just about 1,000 gold left. And once that's up, he's going to be much more set to join these fights confidently. He should have it within the 20-minute mark. So, you know, he's going to be pretty effective with that item early on.
See how much he can turn around with that. And it looks like he'll be going up for a BKB after this Maelstrom. Pretty standard stuff from him, and once he's got that BKB up, there's not really much that can stop him. As meanwhile, in the mid lane, they are still going. Ryoya and, of course, Jamesy still going at it. Jamesy will be able to pick up trees now. It's nice. So instead of a staff, he just has trees instead. Meanwhile, Zephyr playing around with Van on the Sand King, but he did find a haste rune. He will be able to back off. There was smoke from Geek fam. Where do they loop around to? This doesn't look like a great team fight to try and take up against Cignal Ultra, but they're going to give it a shot, and they're going to find Grims first. Or at the very least, Grims will break the smoke. In fact, he's kind of trying to bait them in right now. The Ryoya does have the Avalanche toss, but he's getting healed up by the Phoenix. It will not be enough in the end. And the rest of Cignal, they'll just get the hell out of there, as they don't really have the Chrono to play with this time around.
Yeah, it's a fair enough move to make. They still managed to find that tier 1 down mid for Cignal. So, you know, they're going to be happy with that. They lose the support. They managed to take a tier 1 down mid. Geek fam look to try to translate into that tier 2 bot. And the summons are there from Raid King. It should melt fairly quick.
Radiant are scanning.
7-7, 3k net worth lead will remain for the side of Cignal Ultra. So to plus, currently thinking Cignal Ultra is in the lead by 73% apparently, so nice win probability there for them. Certainly would agree for now at the very least. The Raven does have the Radiance up, is going for the Blink next, so he looks to get aggressive straight after this Radiance. Is going to mean that Nando really is going to need that BKB pretty soon, because that miss chance, although it seems low in terms of stats, does actually end up making you miss quite a lot.
It certainly does, and again, Void depends on time lock for a lot of his damage early on. Every miss means you also miss out on that time lock damage, which is pretty massive.
Zephyr. Run away from Grims. Inkswell will be there. Van, he's going to cop the Inkswell, but he got the Burrow Strike off. And that's going to be another easy kill for the side of Cignal Ultra. And I suppose now, just go for the top tier 2 tower if you are Cignal. You can already see Geek fam, they're not really in the mood to fight right now, or rather they can't. At the very least, Geek fam has already found the bot tier 2, although Eris did end up denying it off just then. So Cignal will go ahead and trade up with another tier 2, although back off quite early on. Geek fam, they have been missing off the map for a bit. So they do deal about half the tower's damage, or half the tower's HP, but that'll be the end of that.
Yeah, it's a bit strange, but they are playing it a bit safe. They don't want to risk anything here. Just take it slow. They have better scalability on Cignal's side as well. On the face of it, at the very least, their team fight is always going to be strong. And they've got a comfortable lead. They don't feel the need necessarily to take any big risks. So they'll just take it slow. Geek fam are going to be happy with that, of course, because they're still farming up on Raven. Still trying to get a few more key items up on their Tiny as well. Looks to be going for big damage items next.
Man. Lining up some skeletons, or rather some wraiths. Raven, pretty darn close to that blink. You can already see Geek Fam grouping up. So once Raven has that blink, it looks like they're ready to go. So as they're about to get that as well, the BKB is going to be up for Nando now. And he also has Chrono available, so this could be a bit of an awkward team fight to take. Grims, meanwhile, will steal the haste rune off Ryoya. I mean, I said they were going to go for a team fight or perhaps a smoke, but it looks like they have split up. So they will just continue farming up this Wraith King, although Cignal, they will do the exact opposite. They will smoke up. Straight into the high ground of Geek Fam's jungle. Well, Chrono will find 2 straight away. Get rid of that Oracle, though Egg won't be there in the nick of time because he jumped into it, but now he'll throw it out. They found Cuckoo as well with the Epi, though. Can they burst down this Wraith King? They should find Wine Life at the very least, and they do. Meanwhile, Cuckoo, he ends up going down as well. A lot of damage being thrown out here by Cignal, though Raven's going to stand there. Manpiper, Zephyr's gone as well. Raven, he's a sitting duck now. He will end up going down. And the coordination coming out from Cignal, I mean, they only seemingly made one mistake, which was that Icarus dive into the Chrono. But after that, it was all smooth sailing.
Definitely so. That was a massive fight for them. And again, they're playing around their big team fight combinations. We talked about this from the draft. This is exactly what Cignal wants to do. They transition that to an objective. And Geek Fam has no way of counterplaying that right now. The Wraith King just melts. So far, he's not durable enough to really take this. And it's just a rough time overall for Geek Fam.
Well, the tier 2 mid now will go down. Cignal really looking good. Ryoya, he's been split pushing that bot lane, trying to get as much work for his team done as he can. And now a 5k net worth lead to the side of Cignal Ultra, and there will be a pause coming out from Cignal. We do have a disconnection from Jamesy. Well, speaking of Jamesy, the mobility this man has on the Rubik, he's just such a slippery hero to catch right now with that 4-staff and blink. Making it super hard for Geek Fam.
Definitely is. I always love seeing Rubiks like this. And he's had a fantastic run so far. 5-1. Really making it work for his team. And, you know, there's a lot of utility you can get from this core Rubik. We've seen it over and over again. I believe the most memorable time for me was in the ESL India Premiership. Saw some fantastic Rubik play there from the core Rubik. Kind of reminiscent of this, actually.
We'll see how long it takes James to reconnect. In fact, never mind, he is back. Nando. Going straight into that Mjolnir next in the Void. You already see Grimm's kind of setting up here for that tier 2 tower. Makes some nice deep observer wards there. Jamesy. Thinking as if he was going to go for a lift attempt, but doesn't end up doing so in the end. Sounds like a bit of a storm going on for you, John.
Yeah, it's, I'm not sure if they're really big raindrops or hailstones, because it feels really cold. It shouldn't be hail, because I'm in the tropics, tropical hellhole, so it should not be icy, but yeah, it's just a really big storm wave.
Well, top lane, they are starting to push it in, and that is actually pretty darn loud as Jamesy gonna start forcing in that lane once again. They have the Chrono up on the Void, and Nando, he's just currently waiting around for that 25-minute bounty rune. And with that Cignal, they understand they can push in. They have the advantage right now. Look back over to Geek Fam, and while they are catching up, is it too late for a Wraith King to be as effective? I mean, it kind of seems like you've kind of missed that timing up against the Void now.
It's not going to be amazing. Wraith King definitely has a hard point where he stopped scaling. And he did get his Radiance at a good time. I just feel like Raven hasn't maximized that in his presence. That's really the story of the game. Geek Fam has been super passive with the heroes they have, which is surprising. You have a tiny You have the Grimstroke as well, you have Night Stalker. These heroes tend to be very active, but Cignal has been once forcing the game out onto Geek Fam, setting the pace, setting the terms of engagement, and that has cost to Geek Fam a lot here.
Well, they're going to start mid lane. It looks like they are going to go for a team fight. Or perhaps Geek Fam are just going to back off after that little bit of harassment towards that tier 1 tower. Nando, meanwhile, finds a double damage rune and goes straight into the Roshan pit. I can't blame him for that. He needs someone to tank the damage, and Van will do exactly that for him as Nando will get the DPS out. And there is actually no vision from Geek Fam to know this is happening, so unless they just go for a lucky scan, they're going to have absolutely no clue. I suppose it's not something you would expect this early on, but it does end up coming out. So now you've got an Aegis to worry about as well on Nando. And things just got a whole lot tougher.
Definitely has. You already struggled to kill Nando off. In fact, he's not died so far. 2-0 with 9 assists. He's been having a great time here on this Void. And again, they've been on point with those spell usages. Every single cooldown is now up for Cignal. Expect them to make a move with his Aegis very soon.
Raven does end up finding the mid tier 1 tower thanks to those little wraith skeletons. But the top lane though, he's kind of being pushed in here at the tier 3 tower. And well, they're going to start fighting mid though. Dubu will go for a TP right in the tree line and he's completely surrounded, but it's all too late as Jamesy goes for the avalanche attempt, does not find it. Zephyr, Nando does end up catching him out. He'll just slow him down. Won't commit the chrono, of course. Silence will be there, but Jamesy will be there with the lift avalanche, and they will find another little support pickup. That should be enough for them to try and force in that tier 2 bot tower. Only problem is though, all the waves are currently the tier 3 tower, where Raven has essentially been split pushing with just these skeletons.
Yeah, he is massively effective that way. That is pretty much what you should expect when you play against the Wraith King. They can just summon the Skellies, go to a different lane, farm up again, and just be a total nuisance in terms of trying to get the push going.
Dooku will TP out. Van will not spot him out either. Geek Fam just sticking as a team. Perhaps trying to make a play onto Jamesy, but he's out of there on the Rubik. Cignal will eventually get to that bot tier 2. The Geek Fam not really in a position to try and defend, and it looks like they aren't going to try to either, as they do just draw out a line through the Radiant side jungle. Perhaps just go on a bit of a warding mission while they can. They could also just go for that tier 1 top tower. But then again, Cignal may just keep pushing this lane, and that is exactly what Nando looks like he's doing.
Yeah, I can't blame them. Again, they still have that Aegis up. They've got all their ultimates up. They can melt these towers up. Fairly decent pace. And Geek Fam is just having a rough time fit in these big team fights.
Well, Nando does actually end up TPing out. And once the fortification comes in, he just doesn't waste any time. He goes back to defend that mid tier 3, which again, Raven is just abusing with those skeletons. Van will essentially do the same up at the top lane where those skeletons were at the tier 1 tower. I suppose this is one strategy to keep forcing the side of Cignal Ultra back, is just keep throwing skeletons in. So Cignal, they do smoke up. They are going to claim those bot bounty runes, but they aren't going to quite find anybody, and it looks like Geek Fam are aware that they've smoked. They do move across the other side of the map, again towards that top tier 1 tower. They'll probably be able to claim this tier 1 tower as well. I don't believe Cignal will be able to get there in time to really do anything about it.
Yeah, it's not going to be the biggest loss in the world. The tower has kind of outlived its usefulness, so to say, so you're not going to be too upset. Tier 1 top, not the biggest objective in the world for Geek Fam. Still, a nice little gold injection for them.
Yeah, the creeps will just clean it up. Cignal, they look like they're gonna try again for that tier 3 as the fortification now is not available for the side of Geek Fam. Nando. It has the MKB now. Still, Geek Fam aren't really there to defend. They've got Ryoya just down in the mid lane. Cignal though, again, are gonna back off, so they're not risking anything. They don't want to get too much damage on their mid tier 3. They'll be very cautious about this. Nando, I mean, he can afford to just keep farming up. He doesn't mind. He's a faceless void. He's more than happy to do this.
It's a very, very slow game coming out from Cignal. Again, they don't want to risk anything. The Aegis just expires right then as well. And another pause. Looks like some pretty big internet issues for Cignal.
Well, these things happen. Sure, James, he will be back in just a moment. Having a look around, like, apart from the split pushing that we were seeing, like, what do you think Raven really needs to be able to carry his team through this one?
It's hard to say. I mean, it's not like Raven lacks farm. He's just behind the Faceless Void in terms of net worth. He is working his way up towards that AC, but at this point, I don't think it's on Raven to win this game. He's doing the best he can. He's doing the right thing, split pushing with his skeletons every now and again, going out to farm elsewhere. I think the key thing is to try to give some farm to your Tiny at this point. Ryoya now needs to kind of carry that weight and try to do the damage now as, you know, Raid King at this point, all he can do is really just live long. He has his level 20 talent up, but in terms of effectiveness, it has been mitigated by a ton. You already have that MKB up on Nando. He's had it for a while. The Chronosphere, the team fight coming out from Cignal is just too massive now. Even with that BKB, which hasn't been popped yet by Raven. It's going to be a rough take on those team fights, and it's just a rough situation overall. Like, you have to really give a lot more space to these other heroes. It's all been eaten up by Raven, who has been shoving out these lanes, but the Night Stalker's not in the best spots. He still needs to finish up his BKB, so Cuckoo kind of trying to rush that item. And again, the Tiny still trying to finish up his Daedalus into the Ags. I think that's going to be the key timing for Geek Fam. Just having that massive amount of damage flying out of Ryoya. Issue is, again, there's just no space to farm up for all three heroes.
Certainly isn't. They're all just trying to get these core items out and essentially buy themselves as much time as possible. I suppose that is the right thing to do, is they still do have all their tier 3 towers. I mean, it's not anywhere near over. Even the win probability, still giving the side of the Dire 20% chance here. Things still looking okay. You can already see Ryoya going for the Daedalus into the Aghanim Scepter, so getting ready with the tree volley for the defense.
Just what I need. Nightmare continues.
Well, Cignal Ultra did advise they'd have to restart their PC for Jamesy, so hopefully it won't be too much longer of a wait.
Yeah, hopefully it won't.
Meanwhile, are you okay, John? It sounds like it's a tornado outside your house.
I'll be honest, it sounds pretty bad. That thunder strike just kind of shook my house. I felt it in my butt. Yeah, it shook my chair. That's what I'm trying to say here, Mike. Pretty strong storm. Rain is really strong. I'm not sure how much you hear in the background, but my windows are closed up. And I'd say it's still pretty damn loud. I hear it in my own monitor, Mike. Rather unfortunate. Earlier on, I actually swear I thought it was hail, because the raindrops just sounded way too big, but it's just really heavy rain.
Well, it looks like the reconnection is there now from Jamesy as well, so we can carry on. Hopefully that rain calms down for you a little bit. He's hoping.
You can't have nice things, Mike, and, well, I'm just going to be stuck with the rain. It's all right. It's all right. I'm not going to be gone. Fortunately, I live on a mountain, so I'm not going to be flooded out.
Oh, good. Cignal Ultra. Do you think they should be applying more pressure than they are right now? Is this the right
Yes.
way to play? Yeah.
No. I mean, look, it doesn't hurt them to take it slow. At the same time, they can definitely afford to play faster. Again, they've had these big teamfight ultimates up for a while, and we have seen flashes of those teamfights before, but they really have pulled it off. They are giving space back to Geek Fam to farm up, while Geek Fam has been focusing that mainly on Raven. If they start spreading out that Walt, Ryoyo is going to be a massive issue, and so will Cuckoo.
Raven. Nando doesn't commit the chrono straight off the bat. Nando, though, cops a fair bit of damage, but Raven cops way more, especially thanks to that Sun Ray. He just completely melts, and now the chrono will come out. Nando taking care of business straight away as the egg will just burst on all of them by the looks of it. They'll catch the Oracle out. Soulbind will be there, but it's not going to be enough as Zephyr starting to fall pretty low himself. Raven, though, will buy back, and BKB's up straight away. Goes back into it, but Cuckoo, he's falling pretty low. They'll find Nando on the Void. James, he just wants to get the hell out of there, though. Van pops the epicenter as well, but didn't have the Burrow Strike nor the Blink, apparently. And it looks like they are just wanting to back off, though. Zephyr setting up to try and turn this around, and Eris also ends up going down. And it looked like a perfect team fight for the side of Cignal Ultra. But those buybacks coming out from Geek Fam really do end up turning this one around.
It definitely does. That's a massive win for Geek Fam. They managed to force out some pretty big ultimates as well. It did come at the cost of buybacks, yes, but it does give them a lot of EXP to play with. And again, it gives them a little bit of momentum on their way. Rather unfortunate for Cignal. They chose to force that fight after the Aegis expires. I just don't understand that.
They're going to start pushing in that tier 3 tower. Again, these skeletons do a lot of work towards these towers. Though Geek Fam aren't completely ready to commit all the way. Of course, they are still behind in terms of net worth. False Promise will come out to try and help out Zephyr, but he is almost guaranteed to die here. Though he does blink out. TP, will he actually make it? No, absolutely not. They had more than enough damage, and now Van looking for the next target. He spotted Dubu, and he'll have a 4-staff available to get the Burrow Strike off. And with that, just the Sandstorm damage by itself is so damn much. They'll lift him back, throw him back into it. Jamesy will go ahead and clean up the kill on the Rubik.
Yeah, it's a nice 2 clean pickups for Cignal. Those are just in supports, but you'll take any kill you can get at this point. We are 35 minutes in. These kills do still matter, and it does give you a bit more time, more space to just play around the map safely without worrying about any big 5-man gangs. Now, it looks to be a pretty late Roche coming out here. Going to be in about 2 minutes and a half. And that means neither side really will get access to that Aegis for that period. So look to maybe see a slower pace coming out from Cignal. I'm not sure how confident they are without that Aegis anymore. It does look like they are pretty hesitant anyway with the Aegis. So again, they're just going to go back, farm up, get a few more items on their other cores, and see what they can do afterwards.
Scanning.
Cignal. Gonna try and wait out that next Roshan by the looks of it. Geek Fam, though, happy to drag this game out. They are pulling their way back into this. Well, the line's been drawn out. They want to be more aggressive. Raven has the reincarnation back up again. Though Sunray will get it started, and it's again a lot of damage on this Wraith King. Now Van jumps in with the Burrow, though Cuckoo tries to get the silences off, but the BKB spot with the Soulbind will hold him together. Ryoya trying to get some work done, but there's the egg. Raven, he's all alone trying to take that down. Nando not going to leave him be. They're going to keep chasing this Wraith King, though the rest of the team is just trying to get out, but they've got to protect this Wraith King. Raven, he's going to lose at least his first life. The Ryoya jumps back in, gets Jamesy straight off the bat. Now they'll find the Phoenix. Can they find the real person they need to, which is the Void, though? Nando does take down the Tiny. There's the reincarnation popping. Nando now commits the Chrono, but the first promise comes in. Epicenter is there to Van, and Earthsplitter is there as well. He blinks out of there, but it may be enough damage now as Raven finds a double kill. He survives through the false promise. Can they find Nando? Looks like they can, and they will turn this one around as Van just wants to get out of there now, but Raven is going to continue chasing. He has Blink in a second. He'll has the Sun as well. And Raven, they should be able to clean up Van. And they will. And that's going to be a full team wipe coming out for the side of Geek Fam. And it looked like a bad team fight, John, but it just works out perfectly.
Definitely does. It was a bit messy coming out from Geek Fam first, but the fact that Raven did not immediately die was enough. Just having him live long enough to scatter out the initiation from Cignal, the fact that the egg wasn't really dropped too effectively there as well from Eris kind of costed him. They were trying hard. I think the result of that team fight's really off the back of Dubu, just canceling out that magic damage with his edict and just really turning that around, keeping everyone alive much longer than they should have been. So props to Dubu, it's all in the aura.
Eris gonna get caught out, silenced up by Cuckoo, though he's just forced the BKB up and run. Jamesy will be there to help out. Geek Fam, though, they're feeling it now. Suddenly, the side of Cignal Ultra just don't look as strong. Look to Zephyr, he has the Scythe of Ice up as well, and Roshan's available for Geek Fam to take.
Radiant's top tower has fallen.
Leave the Roshan for the moment. It looks like they just kind of want to take another fight. Very least, they'll push out the mid lane beforehand. No Chrono available for another 14. In fact, they have found the Void. This could be disastrous here for Cignal Ultra. BKB pop Nando. He waits around before he time walks out. Very least, he does get out in the nick of time. Now back to the Roshan pit, perhaps. But the ET is still scanning it out for them.
This could be a bit dangerous for Geek Fam. The Chronosphere is back up on Nando, so if they are aware, it could be a disastrous team fight for Geek Fam.
Well, they popped the Hunter in the Night. It's going to be enough to force them back as Cuckoo is looking. Soulbind will catch two of them. Now the double silence as well as Ryoya with the double toss avalanche. They are going to find Eris, but he'll buy back straight away. And now the Earth Splitter flying through. Going to connect onto two. Meanwhile, Eris straight onto Raven on that Wraith King. Ryoya still stuck on top of a cliff right now and looks like he should just end up dying. Raven, though, surviving and still has reincarnation. Nando has Chrono available. Does he want to commit, though? Cuckoo is ready with the silence if necessary. In fact, they are going to jump in. Nando, though, still okay, though. No, he doesn't get the time walk off. Raven gets out of the egg range. As Van realizes he probably shouldn't chase with the reincarnation still ready to go. And they'll go on to Eris instead. They'll find the Phoenix. The buyback was there from the Void. Nando commits the Chrono. Reincarnation is not available any longer, but he's not really dealing the damage. That AC really protecting him right now, so he'll go for the supports instead. Raven, though, jumps back in with the stun. Can they take him out? The epicenter, though, the Burrow Strike Band trying to turn it around for the team. It's not going to be enough before they get the dieback on the Void. Now Grim's falling low as well. Ryoya, he'll drop to Jamesy. Cuckoo trying to get out of there, but looks like he'll go down. Dubu is the last man standing around the area, and he's gone as well. So Jamesy with a triple kill and an absolute mess of a team fight. And nobody on Geek Fam actually has buyback apart from Cuckoo, who just got it. It looks like it won't matter, though, as they are missing their Void, so it's not like they can really push that heavily.
Yeah, it's a bit of a shame for Cignal that they did lose Nando quite fast, but that's a massive team fight going the way of Cignal this time around. A bit, I'll bet it's messy. Just a very messy way of getting that team fight. But they will be able to apply some pressure on that team fight.
Double Inkswell as well from Zephyr. What a setup into the double silence, and Raven.
Oh, man.
Just bought back straight away, and Van is in trouble now. He'll Burrow Strike away, but Raven is on the tail. As Van still trying to get away. Stroke of Fate not there, but silence is, but he does manage to blink just before the first tick of damage. So I'm not sure if they'll call that buyback very worth it, as they only find the Rubik, but still very nice pickup nonetheless. It does stop any kind of push attempt coming in from the side of Cignal Ultra.
Yeah, definitely so. I think that is still worthwhile. Otherwise, you take a lot of damage on that tier 3, and you have no way of healing that up, which would be something that Cignal can exploit as the game goes on. That is the Roche now up as well. They go back in that pit, of course, try to finally finish up this time. And it should be much easier now that the Chrono's still on cooldown. The Void's still dead. The Rubik's still dead for a minute. Should be a pretty easy take.
As well, he's going to connect onto the Grim, and well, in fact, the Elder Titan is what they want. Soulbind is there. BKB sleep, though Raven has BKB'd himself. But the Void is going to be up at 5, so they will back off back to that Roshan pit. The Ayakuri actually getting taken down by the Roshan. That's rather rude of him. Still, Chrono back up and ready. Nando running his way back up. Meanwhile, the fight continues as they have found Grims, who doesn't have the BKB available to use, and Cuckoo really wants the kill. They do stun him up. Still Sunray keeping him alive, and Cuckoo looks like he's going to back out once again. They will return back into that Roshan pit. In fact, no, never mind. They'll just leave it be. Back to the jungle it is.
Yeah, it's fair enough. Again, you did expend a fair bit there. The BKBs are a big one, and it looks like it's Cignal's turn to take this Roche, and they melt this one quite a bit faster.
Certainly do. Of course, Geek fam don't really want to give this up like this, but it looks like they aren't 100% aware it's going on, or perhaps just don't feel like they can fight it. Raven doesn't have buyback available right now. He only just committed it a couple minutes ago. So they'll leave it be. That'll give Nando the Aegis once again. Van will pick up the cheese on the Sand King. And suddenly, Cignal Ultra, they're looking just a bit better with that Aegis.
They definitely are, right? You have to deal once again with the 2 lives in the Void. You have a cheese now hanging around there as well. So you have massive amounts of HP to each crew. Not only that, but the sustain coming out from Cignal has been insane. That has given them a couple of team fights going their way. Same thing could be said for Geek Fam again, off the back of Dubu's Oracle. He has been doing a lot of work for his team. Really depends now on how these team fights get executed. Can Cignal find the big target they want first and burst them down fast, being the Raid King? You're using that Chronosphere on the second life, or are they going to be forced to try out that Chrono in unideal situations in their eyes?
Nando does finish up a Butterfly now. The MKB is now up on Raven, so the Butterfly kind of doesn't matter so much anymore for Nando. Well, see if they can take this tier 3. They have the Aegis, they have everything they need. The Raven jumps in straight away. Inkswell is there as well. They just want to burst that Aegis down, silence the boot, but Raven can't quite get all the damage out. And it looks like that's going to be it for Cignal Ultra, as the bot lane has been pushing in once again, though. This time, they found the culprit in Ryoya. And it looks like the Tiny will end up slowly but surely getting taken out. But at the very least, he does stop the tier 3 push. A lot of tips coming out very late into the game.
Oh man, we're back at that point where both sides are not going to be too comfy throwing it all out in one big team fight. I think that tends to be the name of the game at 14-5. You see both sides really trying to farm up, perhaps for buyback, perhaps for 1 or 2 bigger items as well. And it does look like Cignal, again, they have that Aegis up, they've got the cheese. This is still in their control. Are they going to push all the way through this time?
We'll find out. I mean, they've got 1 hero down at the very least. No buyback available on that Tiny. Not for another 2 minutes or so. Still, they've got 30-second window before Ryoya is back. And Nando, he'll jump in. Fortification will be expended. They are just looking for their opening here onto this Void, but it's just so hard to get rid of the first life, let alone the second. Raven, going to be the one to jump in again with the Inkswell. Cuckoo jumps in with the Void as well. It's not quite enough yet, and Raven, he's lost his first life. It's a lot of damage coming out from Nando. They're going to go again. Chrono is there. Raven can't afford to die right now, and there's the egg in the back, just making sure nobody else helps him out. He will manage to get away thanks to that false promise, though. But they'll lose the Oracle. He'll buy back immediately. Dubu, the Soulbind will come out. Double Silence as well, and they will burst out both of them, though. Eris is gone. Aegis is still going to respawn up Nando, but he's been stunned up as well. Ryoya, can he help out here? He tosses up. Van's in there as well. Nando just ends up dropping, and now a massive avalanche coming out once again. But it will not matter, as Ryoya Gonna end up going down. Van setting up onto Dubu. Cuckoo with the Inkswell. They got the Scythe device onto Jamesy on that Rubik, but the Aeon Disc has popped. And so they should be able to claim their first racks of the game now, and they do. Can they claim any more though? It's just so hard to do it quickly when you haven't got your Void available. Zephyr, Inkswell will be there. Cuckoo again jumps in with the silence, but Avalanche once again comes in handy from Jamesy, who continues to use it so darn effectively. Now the Burrow Strike as well, just slowing down Cuckoo, but he's still chasing. He doesn't want to die either right now. Still, he really wants Grims. Van trying to protect as much as he can, but he's completely out of mana. And Grim's just going to go for the TP. Dubu actually ends up missing the Fortune's End. And with that, Cignal will be able to back off to safety, and they are now 1 racks up.
Yeah, that's a massive fight for Cignal. It was a very drawn-out fight. Geek fam managing to take a couple of blows there. In the end, this does give Cignal much more control on the map, and that rain is insane, Mike.
It certainly is. It doesn't matter, John. The game is more insane. Cignal Ultra maintain his 6k net worth lead. Dota Plus is saying 78% their way, and well, Dota Plus has been a little bit all over the place today, but back up to Cignal's way it is. Thing is though, do they wait for the next Roshan again, or do they just keep going in?
At this point, I don't reckon they're going to be too confident without that rush. Again, it's been a pivotal tool for them. I feel like they're probably going to be waiting for it. It is still about 2.5 minutes off though, and they are shoving in this mid. So perhaps they're just going to go for it.
Well, Nando's here. Chrono's up. The Wraith King will be back up in 6 seconds, and he'll have buyback available as soon as he respawns. He won't have that same problem with the dieback. Cignal will just go for that top shrine instead. Get rid of that first. Ensure they can't sneak up behind you.
Dire's top shrine has fallen.
Roshan, we're going to find out in less than 2 minutes when it will respawn, but kind of indicates it's going to be a little bit of time. Looks like Raven trying to go into a Vanguard now and perhaps just go straight into the Abyssal Blade after that, because I guess just all these stuns are really effective against this Void, and I guess that's the one way they shut him down, is just keep him disabled so that Raven can keep just right-clicking away. Now Eris has an Aghanim Scepter, so he has the ability to actually save Nando through the egg. That makes things a little bit more complicated now for Geek fam.
It definitely does. I think one more thing you have to watch out for is that Phoenix 25. The added hit count. Sure, it sounds like it's just 3 hits, but in the middle of a team fight, that can make a massive difference at this point.
Certainly. Bill. And move in. They want to go straight after Eris. The tree volleys are there from Ryoya, and they will find it very easily. And now Cignal, they will be on the back foot once again as they just try to get the hell out.
Your name offends me. Your name offends me.
It's kind of hard to know at this point who's really winning this game. I mean, 1 Rax is really nothing at this stage.
Honestly, I feel like it's fairly even overall. Like, you have a lot of power in Geek Fam's draft now, especially since Ryoya has managed to find that farm. And, you know, you also have the same situation with Cuckoo. He's managed to find the gold, build up. He's almost finished up his Nullifier as well. All the controls there. One of the other things that we don't talk about too much is Zephyr's Sight. He has been doing great work with it, just forcing Nando in weird situations, and that has been costing Cignal quite a fair bit. So it's a fairly even game so far, and even in terms of network, the 3k lead at 51 minutes in is not massive by any account, and it's still anyone's game. 1 set of racks is not going to be enough to dissuade you at this point. If Cignal does manage to get maybe another set, or at least the next 2 melee racks, I'd say they definitely have a severe map advantage in terms of the lanes naturally shoving out. But beyond that, it's still anyone's game. Cignal has to have that perfect team fight coming out. They've got to get those situations they want, and they run the risk of overextending those team fights into buybacks, which Geek Fam can really capitalize on. They have been working those buybacks quite well. They understand that when Cignal blows their ults, the follow-up is not going to be amazing without those ults.
Smoke up here from Geek Fam. Meanwhile, Cignal still waiting around for that Roshan, which will be up in about 50 seconds from now, but Van is just trying to keep tabs. Geek Fam know he's in the pit somewhere, but he will leave. So the smoke really amounts to nothing. Will allow them safe passage up towards that top lane again, though. Perhaps Cignal go for a smoke of their own. You do see one on Eris right now, but they really are just waiting on that Roche. 25 seconds away. This Roche could really just decide the game between these two. Just seems like that Aegis is really what's keeping Cignal in this game when the team fight starts. There will be a smoke though from Cignal now. They are going to loop around the middle of the river, go around the east side of it. Nando jumps in. Chrono is available, of course, although he gets hexed up straight away, but it is returned back towards that Grimstroke. So they're going to go straight after Zephyr. They'll burst him down. Now Nando looking for that Chrono attempt, although he wants Raven's life first. Sunray doing so much damage to Raven right now. Egg will pop out as well. They're diving in to try and find at least Jamesy on this Rubik. Meanwhile, Nando, he finds a reincarnation life and then goes for the secondary. Sunray once again, and Raven is down. Cuckoo once again stuck here to try and do the job by himself. Soulbind will come out onto Cignal. They are trying to take down Ryoya on this Tiny. Zephyr does end up buying back. They will end up getting the Tiny. But Nando straight to the mid lane. Going after Zephyr still, but though he's diving tier 4s. Cuckoo, side device. What kind of throw was that? He will be able to time walk out, but that was a very risky play from Nando.
They managed to force the buybacks out, at the very least, so they've expended one. They haven't forced the Raid King to buy back just yet.
Nando looking to take that secondary Rax. Raven buys back. Inkswell is there on Ryoya. They do find the Void, and he's out of mana pretty much. Raven gonna go straight after the Rubik, though Jamesy, his Aeon Disc does prop, and Van trying to help out with the Burrow Strike. Still trying to make a run for it here as Raven is not giving up the chase, and neither is Cuckoo, and they will eventually find it with the tree toss. And now they've got to punish even further. Roshan is available now, by the way. Perhaps Geek Fam just settle for that instead. Maybe that is exactly what they'll do, as Dubu does go ahead and suss out if the Rosh is up.
Middle tower is under attack.
This is going to be a massive rush for Geek Fam. That's just going to give them so much more to work with. I think the one thing that's costing Cignal here is that Nando, once his Chrono is out, it's just a rough time. They can't take these fights as cleanly. He would really want something like that synthesized Ags, but he's going to have to contest a Roche for it, and it's going to be a dangerous time without that Chrono for half a minute.
Burrow Strike is going to be there onto Cuckoo. He's forced the BKB, and there's the false promise again. Though Nando moves forward, trying to find a target. Though Tree Volley going to slow Nando down, and now they jump back in. Raven, he found the stun. Avalanche is there though. Burrow Strike Van, he saves the day for now. Nando, he pops the Satanic. He's man fighting Raven. He's back up to full HP. He'll time walk back now. Raven, he still has the reincarnation life. But Van is going to continue the chase. In fact, they have found the Oracle Dubu. Dubu will buy back as well. Soulbind Double side device, tree volley is there. They blow up errors, but now Nando jumps in and a massive chrono straight onto the Tiny. He goes instead after Zephyr on the Grimstroke with the epicenter. It's not going to be enough though. Zephyr still trying to run with the Inkswell. He'll get the Inkswell off with the false promise. They're just keeping him alive and buying time. Tree volley, Raven jumps in as well. They'll find both. Now they will stun up the Rubik as well. Ryoya, he avalanche tosses. James is in trouble. He gets saved by the egg. Van, Burrow Strike is there. They're going to try and turn this around with their own buybacks. And it looks like they have found Ryoya. He will end up going down. Meanwhile, the Roshan Nando, he's just ignoring the team fight now. He's going for the Aegis. And their top lane's being pushed in by 2 siege creeps.
Yeah, this is again a very topsy-turvy team fight. In the end, a win for Cignal. It does come at a bit of a hefty cost. The buybacks have been expended. They need this Rosh. Is Cuckoo going to make a play here? Probably a bit too late for that.
But Cuckoo does run in anyway. He's going for the cheese. He will not find it, and he will pay for it with his life. Cheese is still on the deck. Nobody's picked it up.
Yeah, this is massive for Cignal. They have the Ags up on Void. He synthesized that one, or he got the Blessing, and he's going to be able to have that Chrono on lower cooldown. That's going to be really massive here. So that is going to help the cause for Cignal, even if they don't manage to find as much as they'd want from this next fight. But, you know, they're at least going to take these mid-racks. No, they're going to force tier 4s.
Well, there's no buybacks available on the map, and Raven, he goes straight onto the Rubik, but the false promise was there, but though, never mind. He does end up taking Jamesy out. He does lose his reincarnation life, though. They don't have Chrono, but it doesn't matter. False promise is on Raven, but he's copying a hell of a lot of damage from absolutely everybody, and that should just be a death on him. And Jamesy, yeah, he gives it, and there's the GG. GG has been called by Geek Fam and Cignal Ultra. You can't underestimate this team. They pulled off the first game of this best of 2 series. And luckily for us, John, there is a second game coming up.
Yeah, that's going to be something to watch out for. There were some shining moments from both teams. A lot of sloppy fights that really boiled down into brawls. But in the end, Cignal does come out in the end. And it should be an interesting game, too. We'll see how both teams shake it up, or if they're going to stick to basically the same strategies from here on out.
And we'll find out very, very soon. It is MLP Dota and John X Fire. We'll see you guys very soon for the final game of the night between Cignal Ultra and Geek Fam. We'll be back pretty darn soon.